Today, we have TC Cipalone. Now, first of all, what does TC stand for?
Are you ready for all this?
I guess so.
Okay. So my full name is Anthony Nicola Cipalone.
Nicola.
Nicola is my middle name.
Okay.
It's like Italian?
My dad was the first one in our family born in America.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Yeah, they came over here and it was before 39. My dad was born in 1939. And his sisters were all born in Italy. My grandparents couldn't even really speak English. So Mussolini, the Italian dictator, upset my grandpa. Was like, the hell with it. We're moving everyone over here. And my dad was the first one in our family born in 39.
Really?
So, Anthony Nicola Cipalone. I was almost Pasquale Nicola Cipalone.
Pasquale.
He changed his mind at the last second. I thanked him every day for that. But, growing up, Anthony Nicola Cipalone, I mean, it was hard to pronounce. Well, Tony's short for Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
So no one could ever pronounce my last name. You did a damn good job with you pronouncing it. That's not
Cipalone
easy.
part?
You did great. I'm happy with that. So they just shortened it to TC.
Okay.
And most of my close family just calls me T, like close family and friends.
Okay.
So, but I go by Anthony as well. So whatever you guys want to call me, it works.
Well, I just know you by TC, so I'm just going to call you TC.
Hey, that sounds great. I like
TC sounds perfect.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, man. Just get a little started here.
Born and raised here in Salina.
Okay.
Pretty much lived here all my life. I like to travel. Me and my wife like to travel a lot, and I just we talked about big into playing chess and
chess.
Oh yeah.
Been getting beat up as of recently, but I'm still out there trying. That's like I said, pretty simple on that end. Just always lived here in Salina.
Okay.
So, but definitely like to get out there and be adventurous.
What's the best place you've traveled to so far?
I think one of the best trips. It wasn't necessarily the best place I've been to, but I went on a cross country trip to New Mexico by Amtrak.
Okay. Yeah.
And I absolutely loved that. I like to drive.
That's pretty cheap too.
It was fairly cheap. Yeah. We my wife and I traveled cross country on that train trip, and she was taking photos of me, and I was just in absolute awe, like sitting in that glass door car. That's my way of traveling. If you ask
That
me.
sounds like a good plan.
You don't have to worry about anything, and although it took 10 times longer to get to there than what it normally would, even if you drove a car.
But you're not driving. No, that's a nice thing.
I loved it. Like I said, I just sat out there, and there's I got stuck by some Amish every once in a while on that train car. Nice people.
They just
very nice people. And their kids were basically sitting on my lap during that trip. But no, that was one of my favorite.
Would you go down to New Mexico to see, or you just go for the trip?
I went for I was interviewing to be a police officer or sheriff for San Juan County in New Mexico. I went down there.
Did you really?
That's why. And I always wanted to take a cross country train trip, and I had to go out there anyway, so it worked out. Got two things taken care of at once. So
That sounds like a really fun trip.
It was nice. And I went to Jamaica with a friend of mine. I had a really good time there. So
That's
I mean,
a good one.
I've never been to Jamaica.
I haven't either. My dad tells me about it.
Yeah, Jamaica was nice, and
Jamaica,
yeah, that's generally how they operate. And they try to give you stuff without you even wanting it.
Really?
They shove stuff in your pockets and say, "Hey, you owe me $20." And
do they really?
I try to avoid all those pitfalls, but dinner anywhere where we go, I try to have the best time possible. So
yeah, good.
What's the best mentality to have?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, we just it's all about having a good time, I guess. So
yeah. Now you said you were. How'd you get this interview in New Mexico? If you grew up here in
when I was in the police academy, on policeone.com, they all sorts of jobs across the country, that you could be available for.
Yeah.
So I was applying. I applied there even before I graduated.
Oh, really? Okay.
And
yeah.
Yeah, so it was in there, and they called me, and I went through all that process, and I actually got offered both jobs.
No, did you
the
really?
Deputy and the police officer, but Courtney was really close with her family, and it just wasn't the right time. So we ended up coming here, and that's when I ended up getting hired full-time as a deputy for Shelby County, Ohio. And it worked out. Like I said, I really enjoyed my time there. So.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that for, being a deputy?
I was a deputy for 2 years.
Okay.
Over there in Shelby. So, and I got, I did all sorts of stuff for them.
And you said earlier you did, what was the craziest experience being a cop in Shelby then?
One of my things I really enjoyed was it was during country concert.
Oh God!
I've been there in uniform before, but then this particular year I was undercover.
Okay.
So I had my badge under my shirt and I had a bandana on, and
nice.
Obviously with my tattoos and stuff, no one had any idea.
Yeah.
I had my ears pierced, so I put my earrings back in, and I was working with our chief deputy at the time. Me and him were the ones undercover, and we were having some problems with heroin overdoses that particular year.
Really?
Yeah, you wouldn't expect it there. Most people just there have a good time, but there was some heroin going around, and some people were getting really sick. So my chief goes, "Hey, we think this is the guy in one of the private sections there. Do you mind going in there and talking to him and see if you can get a buy, and we'll get this guy out of here?" I'm like, "Absolutely no problem." So I had passes on my wrist to get me in anywhere but this particular entrance.
Oh man!
And I couldn't badge him.
Okay.
So my chief goes, "Hey, I will go get you clearance. You stay back here, and then you come back around and just go in there." And another deputy who was working there said, "Hey, I'll point out what row and, make it happen." Like, all right, good deal. So time for me to go. I walk over there. I don't even have any thoughts in my head. Just, this got to be done. We'll make it up as we go.
Oh yeah. That's the best way.
Yeah. So I walk up to the gate, and there's this older lady, and I walk up to her, and she tries to stop me. This is already after I had clearance. And I said, "Ma'am," I said, "listen, I'm a deputy sheriff, Shelby County." I said, "I'm undercover. I got to come in here, and I got something I got to do." She's like, "Not unless you have a pass."
Okay.
So I'm like, "All right, how am I going to go about doing this?" I said, "People are looking at me already."
Yeah.
So I pull out my badge. Not my badge. My badge is under my shirt. I pulled out my ID that shows I'm a deputy sheriff, Shelby County. She looked at it and said, "That's not going to happen. Because I'm not going to let you in."
What?
Wow.
Like, okay. I said, and I couldn't badge her. I tried to explain to her. I said, "Man, there's a deputy right there. He's a friend of mine." I said, "Go over there and walk over there. He will clear me into here." So still giving me, a hard time. So I ended up leaving, walked back around, called my chief, and I said, "Listen, they're not letting me in." So he decided to, be a little bit more aggressive and say, "Hey, listen, this guy has to come in here. He's a deputy." So next time I walked back around, their eyes were like saucers, and someone else was trying to stop me from getting in too. And like, no, let him go. So I finally got in.
Mm-hmm.
So walking in there, another deputy that was working, as I'm walking past him, I don't look at him, but he gives me the row and, the number that this guy's sitting in. So I'm like, all right. So I go in there, everyone's dancing and have a good time. So that's what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just dancing around, joking, having a good time. Walked right up to the guy, stood there next to him, dancing with him. I can't remember all the interaction that was happening, but within 3 or 4 minutes, he has his arm around my shoulder.
Okay.
Nice.
We're
All
buddies.
right. Yeah.
We're having
yeah.
fun. And then I basically just progressed the conversation, asking him, if he partied and, went through that whole spiel. And as it turns out, after all that work that we did, it wasn't the guy.
Really?
It wasn't the guy we were looking for. So
You met a cool guy.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a very nice guy. And I'm actually one of those guys to where I'm glad that I didn't have to get physical with him.
Yeah,
he was one of those to
seriously.
where like, I'm not getting any younger, and he was probably 18, 19 year guys his age.
Oh
and
man.
he definitely took care of himself, if you know what I mean. So
Oh,
it would have been an interesting ride for a little bit, but we would have taken care of it if it had to be done. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So
Did you guys ever find that person?
I don't think we did.
You don't think you did?
Nope.
That's such an odd place
That is an odd.
It
to be
was.
doing heroin.
And there was rumors that he was coming from certain tour buses and stuff, but you can't believe those type of things. But
That stuff seems a little more far-fetched. Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows, though? That's the thing.
Yeah.
The world we live in today, you can't pass it up.
You can't pass up
No.
really much anything.
and a lot of those, but there's a big difference of being undercover there and not being undercover. Like with being undercover, like if I had to badge somebody, a lot of people questioned it. Like I said, with my tattoos, I'm wearing a bandana and sunglasses. Several people asked for my identification, which I always, appreciate. If
Yeah.
you want to see it, I showed them, and it was all taken care of. But also, like when things got physical there, if there was fights, and I'm running up and I pull my badge out of my chest, Deputy Sheriff Shelby County, a lot of those guys in the heat of the moment were, you know.
Oh, they start.
They grab a hold of you, and I had to explain that that's not the road you want to go down.
Oh,
so
yeah.
But when I was in uniform, I had there was guys that were throwing beer cans and stuff, which we had to throw them out, and that's kind of a risky gig when you have a superior saying, "Hey, that guy threw a beer can, you got to take him out of here." I felt bad for those guys. A lot of them claim that they didn't do it, and I didn't see them do it, but I have a job I have to do. But I was hauling one guy out once, and as I'm hauling him out, all of a sudden I get hung up on my hip, and I look down, and I got a guy with his hand on my gun.
Oh boy!
And I'm a very calm man. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm really calm.
You can't mess around with that.
Don't touch the cop's gun.
No, I had the switch like anyone has, and I lost it. I mean, it really upset me.
Yeah, don't.
So me and him had a very nice face-to-face conversation on what he just did. He claimed that he got hung up on it on accident.
How do you get hung up on a gun?
Yeah,
But with the crowd and stuff, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But I tried to tell him that I said that's
You can't
know,
grab
Dude,
especially in a crowd. That's the whole
That's
deal.
close to deadly force. Like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
close
a bad
to deadly
move.
force. Yeah.
And if I wouldn't
Don't
have,
do that.
I already had a guy I'm fighting with, so I'm grabbing a guy trying to rip him out of the crowd of the Gold Circle, which anyone who's been to country concert know what it's like in the Gold Circle. Is that what they call it? Golden Circle?
I
think so.
I've
So-
heard of that.
It's crazy anyway.
Well, it's good for you to give him the benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's innocent until proven guilty.
Well, I tried, and I said one of those things where,
You don't,
know,
and it's like you said, you're in a crowd and everything.
and just by his reaction, I mean, he was stunned.
Oh, he was?
He went
Okay, that's
bleach
good.
white, but I tried to explain to him. I said, "Man, guy, this is
Dude,
this is bad.
I mean,
Bad news."
even if it wasn't if you weren't a cop, it's still a terrible move. Like, why? Just don't even grab don't even reach like that
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, bad news. So yeah, definitely. Like I said in that job, there's some
yeah.
pretty cool aspects. So
Oh yeah. There's definitely some fun aspects, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got any other crazy? Because I've heard you have some crazy stories just on that kind of stuff.
Here's a story that you guys will like. One of the more confused, not just in law enforcement, more confused I've ever been in my entire life. So I'm almost home, and I worked a lot in the schools. Like during the school time, I was the school time officer when school was in session. So I'm almost home, and you're not off duty until you get home and you signal out. So I'm almost home, and I hear a call come in of a school bus that there was problems on a school bus.
Wait, you're not off duty until you signal out at your house.
Until you,
Well, I mean, for a deputy, yeah. As a cop, I mean, I could just get in my car and be like, radio, hey, I'm done for the day. And they won't give you a call or anything, but
Yeah,
I mean, even if you're in uniform, you can still you can go help them if they need it.
yeah, I mean, so that's just generally how it works. I mean, you're not officially out until you signal out when you're at home.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm close to being home, and I hear this call coming in on the radio, and I know they're going to call me about it because I specialized in the school stuff. So I get to almost home. They call me. They said, 62, come in, and they went over the whole story. There was a fight on the school bus, and the kids released the emergency hatch out of the back while it was parked in the road, jumped out the back, and by the time the deputy got there, who was on duty at the time, who was around the area, they were already gone. And I said, listen, I'll watch the video. We'll be able to find out who it is. I'll take care of it in the morning. So
They just pulled the hatch
released the hatch and ran. So I watched the video, and I knew the kid that did it. He was one of
Ballsy kids.
was a ballsy kid.
It was interesting. So kid I've dealt with several times. Decent kid. He's just one of those kids where he didn't think things through, obviously. So he releases the hatch, causes a fight with the bus driver. She tries to stop him from going out the back. And I think it was 3 or 4 other kids jumped out. And, I end up charging the kids with disorderly conduct.
Yeah.
The 3 that jumped. I tried to get the one, even though I didn't want to, but we went over the discussion that could that be considered inducing panic, but it wasn't. So they all got charged with just disorderly conduct, which is minor.
Which is good too, because it's like you can't be doing that. You gotta have some
Yeah,
repercussions
for sure.
too.
Yeah, you can't be doing that.
So what happens is, obviously, if you arrest a juvenile, you got to contact the parents.
Okay.
So the parents were all contacted, and the 3 of the 4, the ones that didn't release the hatch, the 3 that jumped out, their parents it was common sense stuff. They obviously were upset with their kids for doing what they did, knew that you can't do those things, and they went on their way. But the mom of the kid that released the hatch, she came in and she went bonkers
Oh my gosh.
on me, screaming this and that. And I keep looking at her. I'm waiting for her to talk. I try to give them the opportunity, cussing me up and down. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm confused on why you're so upset. And she looked back at me straight-faced, and she says, well, I'm confused on why my son got arrested.
What?
You'll like this. And I said, well, what's your confusion on the arrest? And she goes, and she's dead serious. Okay, she's not making this up. She was dead serious when she said it. She goes, well, one second here. She goes, well, it's my understanding that when Rosa Parks did what she did all those years ago on that bus, that you're allowed to do anything you want on a school bus.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
Dead serious.
And
So
you can't like if she's that dumb enough to be believing, you can't get mad at him or anything. You can't say anything.
We'll get into that. So what happened was I'm not one that's lost for words. So I'll talk about anything, can talk about anything. Mm-hmm. It completely shut me off.
I don't blame you, dude.
I stared at her blankly, and I looked at her and I said, ma'am, I said, if that's the way you think, I truly have no idea what the hell to say to you.
Yeah.
And I said, now I'm actually upset that I had to arrest your son, because if that's the way you're raising him, he truly has no idea what's right and wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
the kid's gonna do it again.
She was serious about it, and
wow.
That's one of the scary things too. A lot of times when it comes into, especially with me dealing with kids.
Well, it's not just like them like people. It's like that's not.
No,
it's like a societal. It feels like a societal problem. Like if people are believing that Rosa Parks didn't give up her seat, it's not illegal to.
She was dead serious too.
That's
it wasn't
crazy.
like she was like trying to be funny or cute or anything. That was what her thought process was.
Wow.
So
that is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I guess it's almost like it's like you corner a coon. A coon will do anything to get out of the corner. I guess it's something like that where that was the only thing she could.
Well, and I was impressed.
Something that ridiculous. It almost makes you think like she was serious.
Yeah, that was what the most impressive thing was. It wasn't like she questioned it. It was direct. Like
she was serious as she was what she was thinking.
Yeah, this is what she thought, and it's hard to argue with people like that have that mindset.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anywhere. And the conversation was brief with me, with her.
That's about the only thing you could do.
Yep.
Yeah, there's nothing to say.
No, whatever I was going to throw at her, she wasn't going to pick up. So it was that was the end of the road.
You almost like you hear that. You always hear like the Florida man memes or whatever like that, doing some stupid shit. But like. That right there is a Florida man meme like that, or Florida woman meme. Like that's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like those videos where like people go around and ask just basic things about the country or something, like how many states are there, and like people have like
no idea.
I have no idea. Like, are you kidding me? Like you live in this country and you go to school, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Nope, you can't win those battles.
No, that is absolutely insane. Well, I guess Did you ever get calls on like kids being like misbehaving and the parents can't handle them, so you have to go take care of the kid?
Oh yeah, that stuff happened.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was one thing that really bothered me. That's like one thing that like I'm like I can't do this anymore. It's stupid.
Don't have kids.
Yeah,
you'd have parents coming into the schools and wanting to discipline. I got another good story for you about parents coming into the school. So, a parent came into school with me one day, wanted to have a meeting with me. I'm like, no problem. So I walk into my office. She was already waiting for me, and her daughter's there, and her daughter's face looked like hamburger. I mean, it was beat to hell and back. I've never seen a face beaten up so bad. Both eyes black, completely swollen shut, her face swollen up. And she goes, I want to, there's someone here that I want to charge with an assault. And I'm looking at her going, I think there's a pretty good chance we probably get this done. So I said, what happened? She goes, well, my daughter got beat up by a girl at the school. I'm like, that's obvious. I said, we can see that. So you can just tell me a little bit of the details of what happened here. And she goes, well, I wasn't home at the time. And my daughter was arguing with this girl. And my daughter called her up to come over to the house to fight. And I said, what? She goes, yeah, she called her up to the house to fight her. And I go, okay. I said, what happened? And she goes, well, she called her up to fight, and this girl that she called up to fight beat the hell out of her. And I asked the girl, was there any weapons used? She said, no. I said, she just beat the hell out of you? You called her up to fight and she beat the hell out of you? She goes, yeah.
What?
And the mom goes, I want to charge her with assault. And I said, ma'am, I said, That's not how this works.
You're the one that's going to get charged.
I said the best I could possibly do would be disorderly conduct for that girl, but I would have to charge your daughter with the same offense. I mean, you can't challenge someone to a fight.
Yeah, no.
They, kick the crap out of you, and you expect that that's going to be an assault charge. So, and then they get upset. You know what I mean? Because they don't understand.
Yeah.
Of how the process plays out.
Yep.
But you would get that too. People get upset. They want this done. They want that done, and it's just not reality a lot of times. And I think
that's just so cowardly to like. That's to me at least to say, hey, you want to fight, and then they beat the snot out of you, and then
now you want to like give us
I want to sue you.
You want to go with the assault range, but she that didn't happen.
What?
Wow.
And like. You would think she learned her lesson, like right there, but obviously not. They want to like get revenge, and it's like,
and that's one of the things where, and you've dealt with this too, being a cop and everything. I didn't have the capability to see things happen and not get upset by it. I mean, I had a hard time shutting things off. So you got these kids that, that they get hurt or, they're getting in trouble, and the reason why they're getting in trouble is because they're having to step over their parents just to get to school. Their studies and stuff isn't the most priority right now when they don't even know when they're going to get their next meal. And, in Shelby County, and stuff like that, there's a lot of kids that are like that. And I always felt bad for them because, you want to save them, and where their parents are raising them. There's really, the hope level for them is pretty low, and then you try to, build them up the best way you can and hope that they obviously can see the, the faults of their family and realize that they don't have to be that way. But like I said,
you just live around it so long. You can't.
Well, I had a hard enough time making it, in my life when I was younger, and I had wonderful parents. My dad was a fantastic human being.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine if I didn't have his guidance.
Yeah.
So speaking of family, I got to bring this up. Jacob, you have one of the best families I've ever met.
Really?
I'm not
Thank
just saying that to make you feel good. I could hang out and talk to your mom and dad all day.
Oh, my mom could talk forever.
She's fantastic.
She loves to talk.
And if I don't bring her coffee, she gets hostile.
Oh, she likes her coffee. She wants her coffee.
When she does have coffee and your dad comes in to pick her up, I think he gets hostile at me for giving her the coffee, for getting her worked up.
But the thing is about my mom is she'll want you to get coffee. Bring her coffee, but when she goes home, she'll call one of her friends. Hey, you want to come over? Bring coffee.
Yeah.
So she gets like 5 coffees a day.
I could see how that would work her up. And then,
it's funny.
Your brother Chad, I've known for a long, long time, and I'm not kidding you. It would be my life goal to be half the man that Chad is.
Chad's an interesting dude. I can't wait to bring him on the podcast.
I really
have I met Chad?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I seriously, I'm not just saying that. I'd love if one day I'm half the man that your brother Chad is, I would really consider myself a success. But I'll tell you what, I got a long way to go before I can even get to half of him. He's just a wonderful dude.
He's very giving, very very nice. He's very straight and narrow. Like
he's real.
He's real. He's a great guy.
What you see with Chad is what you get. And I said I was never really that close with him friend wise. I mean, I'd love to have been. Like I said, he just I was more of a troublemaker growing up than what he was.
Yeah.
But just like as a person, when you talk around him, his energy and his vibe is just so fantastic.
He definitely can talk to. And the one thing I don't like about him is he can grow a damn beard and I can't. He can grow a beard.
Like how the hell that happened?
I know, right? I'm jealous of that.
No,
I'm
awesome.
But,
I said you should consider yourself very fortunate. Wonderful family.
Thank you. But
your day will come.
No, it'll never come. I can never.
We're 20, early 20s.
Yeah, my dad really can't grow a good beard, so it's not like it'll.
So it's like hit or miss.
Yeah, because my brother got my mom's side, who they all can grow beards and they all have like hair. I got my dad's side and like they got nothing, just patch.
It happens.
Man,
I can grow a mean mustache. That's about it.
A mean,
a little pedo mustache.
Yeah. Oh well, but another thing is you were kind of talking about your lifestyle and stuff, like your what Courtney said, your wife, you're a minimalist. Is that what it sort of is like?
For the most part, yeah.
Kind of. I want to kind of go in a little bit more depth of like how's your lifestyle is right now.
Okay. When it comes to minimalism, I guess when I was younger, I always thought differently than most people. You know how when you're growing up and you're a little kid, people talk about like, what do you want out of your life? People say, I want these mansions and all this money and stuff. Yeah. Even as a little kid, those things didn't mean anything to me. like I never got enjoyment out of those things. I grew up in a very modest family. My dad was really sick when we were growing up. So
Good for you, dude. Consumerism is a disease,
Well,
and that's what it.
Well, we were taught to cherish the things that we had,
Yeah.
and my dad, I say he's been gone for like 13 years now, but my mom is 75. She's a psychology professor. She just retired last year.
Boy.
She didn't tell you, like, I never asked for a whole lot growing up because I didn't need a whole lot. I was already happy. So growing up, kids wanting all this stuff, that didn't mean anything to me, but I realized I was different in that way of thinking. Like money and having all that stuff, I could care less. And then as you get older, I think it goes where people want to show to other people that they have all this money and they're all
They need
doing all this stuff.
approval, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my eyes, even as I was getting older, I didn't care if you thought I was wealthy, and I really didn't care if you thought I couldn't finance a trip to the grocery store. Like it didn't matter what your thoughts were of me. I was happy and was going to do what I wanted to do anyway.
To each their own.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's been a process for me as I've gotten older to, try to just be happy with less. And when you have all this stuff, you're consumed by all this stuff. And I think a lot of times what happens, and I say realize I respect other people's opinions. I really do. If you like what I say, that's great. But if you disagree with what I say, you're allowed not to.
Yeah, you're
not
allowed to
agree with
disagree.
me.
Yeah.
But this is just what makes me happy, and I've been just really happy, just being really simple.
I love minimalism art style. Like, you ever seen minimalism art? I think it's like my background. I think my background right now is kind of minimalism.
Minimalism. Oh, okay.
It's like
Pretty
there's
simple
only
stuff, yeah.
it makes you focus on like a certain thing. I like it because
Yeah,
it
that's
makes you
neat.
focus on a just one what you want it to be the focus of whatever it is you're
Yeah.
making.
Interesting.
And this wasn't something that I did overnight. I said
It's a
I've
lifestyle.
slowly-
Lifetime to do. It takes a lifetime to grow it.
Well, I'll tell you what changed things for me, like really put things in perspective. There was guys, his name's Ryan Nicodemus and Joshua Fields Milburn, I believe is his name. They wrote, these are two guys from Dayton that were in your guys' age, like they're my age now, they're almost probably 40.
Okay.
But when they were your guys' age, they lived in Dayton, and these guys were making like $150,000 a year each. And they were absolutely miserable because what happened was when they were making all this money, they were spending all this money, and it was a never-ending cycle. They were working to afford things that they didn't need, and they had this documentary on Netflix called Minimalism, which I watched that, and then I read all their books. Fascinating stuff. They,
Okay.
one of the guys ended up leaving his job, and he made 150 one year. The next year he made 20,000, and he doing what he wanted to do in life. He wanted to write and stuff. So he ended up making $20,000 a year, and he was the happiest he's ever been in his life.
Really?
And the way I looked at it was, and I've done this, is when you condense everything down and you live simply, you truly live. Like my mind is not cluttered by want. You know what I mean? And
It's like Buddhism. That's a core of Buddhism is giving up all your worldly desires. Like,
well, it's one of those things to where like you're made to believe that. Or how do I say this? When you're always wanting more, no matter what you have, you want more and more and more and more. You're never content.
oh yeah,
The cell phones that you have eventually will you want it at the time, and it eventually becomes obsolete. And in your mind, I need that next thing, and it's a never-ending force. And I don't live that way. Like I said, whatever I have is what I need, and it's what I want. But I'm able to spend my life doing what I want to do. I'm not, we don't have a whole lot of debt. We live very, very humbly. I just don't. I don't need that 5-bedroom house and all that kind of stuff. A lot of these kids your age, I hear they're taking out
loans for a Tesla or something like that.
Well, they're taking out $500,000 home loans for 50 years.
Which is just
You know what I mean?
cow.
And they have to be willed or something on the will. And a lot of guys your age are doing that stuff. And that's just, if that's what you want to do, great.
to
But-
me, it's a shackle.
Exactly.
That's even
yeah,
just
it is a
like
shackle.
I don't have much college debt, but like even just that, it feels like a shackle. Like you have to work now because of what you're
You're
decision-
basically, you're working to afford things that you don't need to have.
Exactly.
And what it is, and like I said, I've worked my whole life. I've planned for this for a long, long time. And I just, people look at me and look at my lifestyle and think that, maybe I don't have a lot in your eyes, but in my eyes, I have everything.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm able to do what I want to do with my life, and I don't need the approval. I don't care if you think I have this or you think I have all this money or I need all this. That truly means nothing to me.
Well, and that's like the opposite of how our society's going now.
Yep.
Which is that's
And
kudos to you. I mean, that's tough to now in today's world with social media and stuff. That's literally what it's. Social media is just a big approval machine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and a lot of these kids, with working with kids, their whole existence and their whole happiness depends on how many likes they get.
Which is that's
and
so
it's
wrong.
heartbreaking. It really
Yeah.
is. They're and I could imagine, I felt fortunate growing up for the way I did, but I couldn't imagine growing up the way that you guys did, where everything is everyone's business. You can't do anything without everyone else knowing about it. And drive around and look at the parks in the summertime. There's the kids
one.
aren't out anymore.
Oh yeah, no.
You know what I mean? And it makes me sad. But like I said, if that's how you want to live, a lot of people don't know any better. You know what I mean? They truly don't know. But I said, these guys from Dayton, I highly recommend reading their books and watching that documentary. They break it down
You're gonna have to
into.
remind me of that. Sorry.
No, you're right. They break it down into, a system on how to do it, and I followed that system.
Sweet.
I used to
Sweet.
drive. I had, big Jeep Wranglers I drove around for years that I thought I needed or I thought I liked, and I got rid of all that stuff. And
Is this the one?
yeah, that's them.
Minimalism, a documentary about the important things on Netflix.
I'm gonna have to.
definitely
I'm
have to check
watching
that out.
that.
It's wonderful.
I'm gonna watch that.
Joshua Phil Milburns and Ryan Nicodemus.
Nicodemus, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, wonderful. And I said their
Definitely
books.
gotta
The
check
books
that
are
out.
better than the documentary because
Gotcha.
obviously books they can
Books
really
are-
dig in. But
So the minimalist books, like
yeah, Joshua and Ryan chimes in on it.
Okay.
But yeah, he's written 3 books I think on minimalism. Then he also did a nonfiction
okay.
book. But fascinating people. I said they're from Dayton.
Everything
Really?
that remains
Okay.
is this. This is one.
Yeah.
of them.
Everything that remains. Okay, I'm gonna have to read
A
that too.
memoir by the minimalist.
Man, you got books and things I gotta watch.
awesome.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's one of the best things I've ever
Okay.
read. And but so I knew the concept beforehand, but that really does a good job of breaking it down. And
And even if you don't want to go that way, it's just like I just find it. My curiosity wants.
but
to try
it is
Yeah.
it's awesome. And then
That's such a drastically different lifestyle too than most people are even.
well, I
ready
think,
for it.
and I was talking to Jacob on the way over here. What I'm doing is not revolutionary or necessarily different. People take it to a
Oh yeah,
better
where they're
extent
living
than
in
me.
like just a box or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I technically, in my mind, think I could walk around barefoot and live in a tent and get by.
Oh, yeah.
But
You can't do it. That's the worst thing about it is you can't even do that nowadays. You have to pay. You have to pay taxes.
yeah,
you have to do
they'll
all
try to
this
find
stuff.
you.
Yeah,
But
exactly. I would definitely. That'd be great if I
That'd
could
be
just
sweet.
if I could just live on my farm and be self-sufficient and not talk to. 100%.
But I think around here this catches people off guard. It was I had a smartphone which I really wasn't on it like most people are. Matter of fact, I hated the concept of it, and it broke one day. And I told my wife, I said, I wonder how long I can go without getting a new cell phone. And I went. She said it was a year and a half. I don't know the exact time, but I know it was over a year with no cell phone whatsoever.
Wow.
Good for you.
And it was
that's
one of the best years of my life. I'll tell you.
I've
Was
been
it
thinking
really?
about just getting a flip phone or something.
And that's what
That-
that's
yeah.
what I have now. I end up after that time, and the whole entire time I only needed my phone one day, and I got it so that just in case. But it runs out of minutes all the time. And matter of fact, it ran out of minutes today, and I'll go days without filling it up because I just don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Courtney, or my wife knows where to get a hold of me. People that I need to talk to, I can contact them. But that year was awesome. But people literally looked at me like I was nuts. Like when I would tell them I don't have a cell phone.
Which is
You
so
know,
weird. It
we
was
don't
like
ha-
that.
Well, yeah.
I still remember when I was a little
I
kid.
get-
It was the opposite. Like, oh, you have a cell phone. Like,
Yeah.
and then people are like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
dang, you're rich" or something like that. It's like, well,
Well, yeah, and
now the
and-
opposite.
Yeah, and another like sort of on mine is it's not your extreme, but like I don't have any social media at all.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
have
I
that
don't have
either.
Twitter, Instagram, or anything like that. And I went to a concert, and this dude, came up to me. He said he filmed me doing something, and he's like, "Hey, what's your Instagram account?" I'm like, "I don't have an Instagram." He just looked at me like, "Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
you serious?"
that's how you're
Like,
looked upon.
Which
I'm
is
like,
so wrong. It's so
I'm just
wrong.
having a great time.
And the way I looked at that is you people basically live your entire life on your phone.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. Even the Super Bowl, they were making fun of people for being. That's all people do. Courtney went to the World Trade Center Museum in New York, and there's people when they were talking about the most horrific things that have happened. People are on their cell phones.
Wow.
and
It's so
Wow,
rude.
that's
it
rude.
is. And I always looked upon it as, and I had social media briefly, and I hated it and got off of it. I didn't understand the concept of it, but I highly doubt that when it's people's time to go, that they're really going to sit back and going, you know what? I really wish I would have paid more attention to my phone and and worried what the Jenners were wearing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I truly doubt that that's going to take place.
I guarantee you're right.
So that year, and I said, I was told it was a year and a half. I'm not sure. I know it was over a year, but it was awesome. Like I said, I got a hold of the people I needed to. They knew how to get a hold of me, and if they didn't, they would survive. So
that sounds
Well, that's
very
like
interesting.
that's the one thing I can't stand at concerts now. Is
Oh,
that there's
it's
like
it's always just
hundreds
phones.
of people just
Just
with their
phones.
phones in the air.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to record it. So first of all, somebody else is probably going to record it. Like there probably was someone hired to actually record the whole thing.
Yeah.
And why not just take it in
Why
and
not
live in
just
that
live
moment?
in? Yeah,
You know what I
like,
mean? I don't get that.
how do you even enjoy something like? If you're just you got to pay attention to like I enjoy taking pictures and stuff at events, but I'm not doing it on my. I bring a camera just because it's like I'm living through that moment.
Yeah,
but-
it's
The phone thing is just so weird.
and the thing is though too, if you really think about it, you're never going to be able to convince people, the masses, that they shouldn't be doing that. It's impossible.
Well, the worst thing about it is that I think it was like people don't think that your phone, being close to your phone, doesn't affect you at all. I think it was like a fifth grader did a science project where he had like a banana. He had bananas in separate rooms. And in one of the room, he literally just put a phone on next to it. And that banana literally died quicker than the other banana in the other room.
Yeah,
No shit.
Yeah,
They
And
didn't
that was
really-
that was literally a fifth grader science project.
Really?
yeah, they've done experiments that where stuff will grow or won't grow next to your cell phone.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. So
Wow.
You have a lot. There's
I
a
didn't
lot
know
of like, in granted, a lot of frequencies. A plant can absorb a lot of different frequencies than we can absorb, but we're all pretty much water. So we'll all kind of affect us. I don't sleep with my phone near me, like in the same room anymore.
Damn, that's a good idea. Man.
And like on my end, which is different than most people, especially with me being almost 40, well, I'll be 40 this year, is that, you know, like I told you, I've planned for this for a long time, and I never wanted children, and I don't have kids. And so it's easier for me to achieve the things that I do because of the no kids. And a lot of people use kids and everything as a crutch to where I have to have this or I have to do that. You don't have to. You choose to for the most part, but you can definitely reduce it, you know, and keep it more in perspective to where, you know, the kids don't have to be on these things. Like I told you, it's crazy to me to drive around and you don't see kids out playing anymore.
Oh, you don't?
You don't.
Yeah.
They flat out, they're not
so
there.
Weird.
I would be outside until night getting in trouble. I gotta have the cops called on me. Like
we
doing
literally-
stupid stuff.
Well, like my parents literally wouldn't. We would not have cable or any TV in the summers just because we were outside. First of all, it wasn't just because they did it to force us to go outside. It's because we were just outside anyways. Like we wouldn't have used it anyways. But and the worst thing about the kids deal is they use them as babysitters now.
It's very true.
Which is probably why even have kids if you're just gonna like throw them a screen to look at?
Well, it's not going to get any better. Either.
No,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, you wonder like where does it stop?
It's not gonna
when,
stop.
When does it? And
The screen's gonna get bigger or something like it's gonna be in your head soon.
the only and I said this is out there thinking, but it would take a cataclysm of some sort to reset everything for it to be to be changed. Because like I said, and I'm not naive enough to believe that what I say or what I do is really it might affect a few people, but people look at me like I'm nuts, and I'm sure a lot of people hearing this are going to think that I'm nuts. But you can't describe what it's like to having all that stuff that I've had and slowly getting rid of it, of how awesome it feels. Like I said, I'm not tied down to anything. I do literally what I want to do when I want to do it, and
because that's like people buying a house. It's like you're right there. You're locked in that. You got to keep your house. You got to pay taxes on it. You got to do all of this stuff on it, and like right there is like a chain. And it's like the more things you add on to that, the more your phone's another thing. You have to work your job to pay this or whatever.
And it's not necessarily the fact of being lazy either. It's just the concept of I'll give you like for instance, people that buy these big houses and have all these cars and stuff, and then most people work jobs that they hate. So they work jobs that they hate for all these years to afford those things, so they can retire at 65 or whatever. And then maybe if you're lucky, you live 10 years after retirement, maybe.
Yeah.
And your health probably isn't the best. And in my opinion, that's not how I wanted to do things.
Yeah.
And I knew that from an early age. That's not how I wanted to live my life. I didn't want to,
Interesting.
like I said, I really would rather live in a tent and be able to ride my bike and play chess when I want to play and go visit friends and all that stuff. I'd rather do those things for my whole life than
work, slave away,
doing stuff I don't want to do,
or something like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing against
and
working a 9 to 5 or anything.
That's
but
what
it's
I'm
like
saying.
that's what I mean. To each, like a lot of people just don't. That's like I feel that way. I just feel like some certain people have certain mentalities where it's like they feel locked if they're in that 9 to 5 or something like that.
So you have to do it.
Yeah.
And I said, why do you have to do it? And well, if you look at it, you're buying things that really don't give you that much enjoyment, and you're constantly wanting more. I got to have this, got to have that, got to achieve this, got to achieve that. By the time, like I said, you're 67 years old, you retire, great. So you got 10 years left to do stuff that you think that you want to do at that point. Even by then, you're already so consumed that it doesn't happen. So
there's just I always think back of like my dad would tell me about his dad, how their entertainment was one night a week they would go and crowd around the radio and listen to something, and it's like just doing away with everything around you, all these big distractions. It makes everything more meaningful, like you're saying. Like you enjoyed everything more once you got rid of all this stuff.
Well, like with not having my phone, I talk to Jacob. I'll meet up friends with mine at have coffee or play chess with or do whatever, and just a conversation. That means more to me than anything that you can buy me.
Oh yeah, I enjoy talking to people.
Yeah, I like this.
That's why I can't stand texting and stuff like that. Just because, well, first of all, you could just be completely. You could mean something one way, and somebody would.
Yeah, it's hard to get expression across in a text message. You could be hostile, or you could be really friendly, and you can take it either way.
It just, I don't know. Conversation is always better, but I definitely have been seeing. Our generation especially, it's being lost. Conversation,
without a doubt.
Oh yeah, it is.
Like I'll talk to people and it's like people don't know how to even small talk anymore.
I was telling Jacob on the way over here, like my dad didn't acknowledge our existence unless we looked him in the eye when we talked to him.
Exactly.
He literally would act like we weren't even there until we looked him in the eye and had a conversation with him.
That's a good idea.
Well, that's what I always. It's like you're not focusing on something if you don't give it all of your attention. Yeah, that's like phones. With phones take away. That's why it's like when I did this earlier. It's like when I had to send a message or something while everyone was talking, and I almost don't. I get aggravated at myself for doing that, just because I know how much I get annoyed when people are like, "Oh, you're talking to them," and they'll get out their phone and start like doing something. It's like you're not paying attention as long as even though you think you are.
Yeah,
and that's the whole eye contact. Is just like knowing that you're.
Yeah. Knowing that you're engaged. And I said, when you're younger, looking at down, like, why is he listening to me? But we learn really quickly that, that's how you talk to people. You let them know that you're there.
It's respectful too. It's like we're all human beings. We're all in this together, where it boils down to it. So it's like we might as well respect everyone.
So, and in my journey through minimalism, I continue, like I said, there's people that do a lot better than me. But I'm doing the best that I can. Like I said, I told you I gave up my Jeep that I was driving around. I was getting 10 miles a gallon, and I'm trying to do my best for the environment too. So I said that can't justify that. So I'm trying to go towards electric. I got an electric bike for my 40th.
Nice.
Nice. An early birthday present for my 40th, and I love that thing. And the way my mind works is I would like to get it down to where that's my only mode of transportation. I mean,
I love walking. I want to work my way to that point too. I loved riding my motorcycle. That was so much. It was smaller. It was cheaper. It was just didn't pollute as much. To be honest, I'm not a big against pollution. I'm not a big I don't live my life to stop pollution or whatever. It's like I conserve as much as I can.
And with minimalism, I'm trying to go towards that, saving, being more environmentally friendly, with recycling. I do all that. And, but my bicycle, this is kind of funny. Courtney will come in, or clients will come in and talk to Courtney, and they wouldn't even know that's me. They're like, yeah, I'm driving my Montezuma, and there's this guy with long hair pedaling this bicycle, and it looks like he's just normally pedaling. However, he's basically flying past cars, or not going as fast as he is. So, that bike will catch you off guard because I pedal it just like a normal bike, like the exercise.
Is it in the hub?
Yeah.
No way. It is
And
one of those.
This thing flies.
Wait, what is this?
So they say they put the you have
Yeah.
one. I don't have one.
It's called electric. I think they make it in California, electric XP.
Okay.
And they're not free. They don't just give these things away, but they're well worth it.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like I said, it's one of those things where it has pedal assist, so I can be pedaling it, and then you hit a button and it'll shoot it with you. So
okay.
I could be pedaling this bike and going 30 miles an hour.
Nice.
And it like
And,
charges
really?
itself, doesn't it?
This one doesn't charge.
Oh, does it?
On its own.
Gotcha.
But it's one of those where it kind of stops traffic because it's a very unique looking bike.
Oh, wow.
The hub ones are so cool.
Look this
though.
up. I want to see this thing.
Yeah, the electric XP.
Electric SP.
XP is
So
the
like
name.
it's a motor on the back. Is
It's
that what
not-
you're saying? Like it's a.
Yeah, right there.
Where'd she get this thing at?
I ordered
Oh,
it from
you bought it.
California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you ordered from. Okay.
Oh, it's got the big wheels.
Yeah,
and
it's got the
everything.
big tires on it and it folds up.
Can-
and-
Can I ask how much you paid for this thing?
It was like $1,000.
That's
Okay.
not terrible, to be honest.
Okay.
No, for an electric bike, it was a more reasonably priced one. But
Well, I know how much those hub engines are
well,
so
you couldn't
expensive.
you couldn't make it for that price.
No, yeah.
But it's one of the best things I've ever purchased. And I
Even
said,
like a
I'd
gas
like to-
kit on a bike is $500 for a nice bike, like a gas engine to put on a bike.
But my goal is that down the road, I'd like to get it to where that's my main form of transportation. I don't
Really?
don't have a car.
Wow.
I walk the places and I ride that damn thing.
Just bundle up in the
Yeah.
freezing cold. I
I'll
like
make-
it.
I'll make it
Sweet.
happen.
That'd be awesome.
I would do that when I had
Walk the bike path.
yeah. Oh yeah. When I had my moped, I live out in the country, and that was the only way I could go in town. So it would be like 30 out, and I'd just be just bundled up.
Courtney reins me in there. Like I'll have these crazy ideas, and she always supports them. But she's like, well, "What about this?" And like, I never thought of that. I never thought that might not work. So yeah, she
Goes up to 25, 28.
and you can change the speed on it, so you can make it go about. I've had it up to 28, almost 30 miles an hour.
25 to 50 miles too. That's a long range.
That
Yeah,
is a
charge.
long range. Wow.
I have
How long does it charge, sir?
about 3 or 4 hours. It
3 or
usually
4
gets up
hours?
to charge.
Okay.
And I got a friend of
Wait.
mine that has an electric bike, a different one, but we're gonna ride it together. This I didn't know he had one, so yeah, definitely when you're riding past people, because it says it on a bicycle, 30 miles an hour is flying.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that is fun.
I'm just casually pedaling my normal speed, but this thing,
Then you just take off.
and you can see cars going, what in the hell? My hair's going all crazy in the wind. And
You
it's,
should
That is awesome.
go to some rural like biking contest so where no one knows even that
there's no
electric
sound
bikes.
to it.
Yeah, that's
You
what I'm
can't
saying.
hear it.
Oh,
So you
really?
can- you
It's
just pedaling
silent.
normally. You
Yeah.
just-
It's almost dead silent. You can barely hear it past the pedaling. So
Dude, and it
So
folds, too.
when you pedal it, does it make it go just a little bit faster? When,
no,
like,
there's different levels, 0 through 5. 0 is just your normal pedal, and then you hit a button, and it's pedal assist 1, 2, 3. I keep it in 3.
okay.
I've taken it up to the 5th level, but 3 is usually my standard.
Okay. Okay.
Like I said, I don't really. If something happens, I don't want to be doing a header into the asphalt going that fast. But it catches you off guard. Like the 3rd phase, I'll have to you guys come over and check it out sometime.
That'd be
It's
cool.
one of those things to where
That'd be sweet.
I had my neighbor ride it one day, and he was out there. He was like, "Man, I can't even process this." I mean, it's pretty neat.
Wow.
So,
Well, it's just something
I've never heard
completely
of this
new too. It's like when I was in Columbus, the last year I was in Columbus, they had all those scooters, electric scooters around. Even that was weird. Those things will get up to like 15, 20.
yeah.
You're just booking it, and it's just just because you're on even a regular bicycle is weird. Just because bicycles aren't supposed to go up to 30 or something when you're pedaling it.
Yeah, it's fast on that.
Oh, yeah.
definitely when you're going, and it's really nice with the wind. Like
Okay.
when you have wind in your face, that pedal assist. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
almost
Oh, yeah, yeah.
it'd almost be
Not
hard to
burning your legs.
to ride another bike. To be honest with you, I think I'm ruined for the standard. And I love the exercise. 'Cause you still get the same exercise,
Okay.
but you can cover a lot of ground on that
Yeah.
It's got,
on that bike. So,
It's got disc brakes,
What
too.
a
That's
great idea.
and I like that company. They really they're environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
They try to their sources are environmentally
Well, it's
conscious. So
$900 now.
Pre-order for April. Nice.
I could definitely see them selling out quick.
yeah, they do really well.
That's one of those things that are
Good.
just
Good for
really,
them. That's a great idea.
really cool.
Yeah, and they're a fairly new company. It's just one of the reasons why I chose them. They were new, and I like their story. You can watch their videos on how they do stuff, and
And plus they're making it in the U.S.,
yeah,
that's a big deal to me.
That is-
That's a big
yeah.
deal to me.
Yeah,
'Cause
they
I always would buy U.S. first.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Everyone who's gotten that bike where you watch the reviews and stuff is they tell you that the speed catches you off guard. Like when you go
Really?
in there, you're not quite ready for how fast that thing can take off.
Probably so light too.
Yeah, so like it's fairly light. I mean, it's not the lightest bike.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's got an electric motor on it, obviously.
Yeah, 30 miles an hour on a motorcycle is not fast, obviously, in the car, but when you're on a bicycle, it feels like
Yeah.
you're going 117 miles an hour.
It's just like a mind block. Like,
It is.
Oh crap! I'm going real fast.
Oh, is yours
That's
white
pretty
or
sweet.
black?
I went with the black one.
Did you? Okay.
That one looks pretty gnarly.
And I got a nice bike chain that matches that blue. Matched up perfect with it.
Sweet.
seriously.
That's a good idea. How far do you like? What's the
Yeah.
farthest distance you've traveled with this thing?
I got it. I said my birthday is in November. I got it. I think. Actually, I got it for my 39th birthday. So I got
Okay.
it last October is when I got it.
Okay.
And I put on like 120 miles on it from October until now.
Okay.
And so I wasn't able to ride it as much as I wanted because the weather got ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so that's quite a bit on a bike.
So, yeah, I have a
120
good time.
miles.
I went 10 miles on it maybe 2 weeks ago that when we had some nice weather.
Oh, did you really?
I got
nice.
on that thing and we were out there cruising around. So I passed the other bicycles where they're like, what the hell is that thing? So,
When it doesn't look like a normal bike.
no, it has like a tank type build to it too when you
Yeah.
see it. It's it's
Well, the wheels itself are like the new. I've seen quite a few newer bikes with the big wheels like that.
yeah, it's nice.
Well, you almost have to when you're going. You can get up to 30 on it.
It was well worth it. Like I said, it was one of those expenses to where I justified it, and like I told you, I want to down the road to have that as my main.
That's
main
such a good idea.
transportation,
Plus, you don't have
so-
to get insurance on it or anything.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true, man.
You don't have to get
Wow.
plates. You don't have to have a license.
Yep,
really.
it works this way out. So
Unless you go on a highway, you probably. But you're not going on.
No,
highway.
I'm
You're not going to go on a
No.
highway for that thing. That thing will.
Alrighty.
I'll be
Want to
freaky.
take a break?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break here for a second.
good deal.
We are back and ready to go. So I have another sort of question that I've sort of heard that Courtney has told me, and I'm not saying I'm like against it, but like I could sort of lean towards like the keto / like carnivore diet
Yeah.
and something like that. Now I've heard that you are a vegan. Is this true? Is this a
Well, we're gonna have to 100% clarify that.
okay?
So-
No, absolutely.
all right.
That's why I'm
So I'm a vegetarian all the time,
okay.
but I'm vegan. I would say 90% of the time. And what happens is I go long, always a vegetarian. I don't eat meat at all. But I will go long stretches of being just a vegan.
Okay.
But then every once in a while, I'll have a friend call me up and say, hey, you want to go for a pizza? And I'm like, what the hell? And I just get a plain cheese pizza.
Okay.
So, I could go 6 months with eating a completely vegan lifestyle. And then sometimes I'll get one of those pizzas. And then I find myself having 1 or 5 a week for the next 3 weeks. So,
Do you
Yeah.
take any like vitamins too?
I do. I take
That's what I was thinking because most people that I've seen that are vegans that don't take any extra nutrients, they're like you can tell.
Well, a lot of that is it's hard to eat enough.
Yeah, that's what
you
they-
need.
Okay,
You need
okay.
to constantly be eating.
And you got to read about to be a vegan. Like you got to read into it. Being
Well-
a vegan is not. It's not easy.
no,
either.
and that's what I was just getting ready to say that and sometimes I'll go long stretches of being a vegan, and all of a sudden I'll eat something and I find out that it contains milk. But I don't let that. I don't. I don't hit the panic button. A lot of people, if I go out to eat somewhere, and order, like for instance, I had a veggie burger 2 weeks ago. And I'm almost 100% certain that was real meat. Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't panic over that. I did the best that I could.
And you win, and it's like you're just gonna it's just gonna cause a scene or something like that. That's what will end up always. It always ends up happening.
Yeah, and people, like I said, might be watching this and criticize me that I don't take it to that extent, but I truly do the best that I can.
Yeah.
And I have moments of where like I said, 6-7 months being vegan, and all of a sudden I'll have that cheese pizza. But
It's like the same thing with I'm on the opposite. I'm like I go mainly more of a carnivore diet.
Yeah, that's
and
what-
like I can't eat enough meat. Like this meat's expensive too. It's like you can't do it 100% of the time. It's not that you're not doing. It's not like you're not 100% into it. It's just you can't do it 100% of the time.
Yeah. Well, and you were talking about the supplements real quick. I take a vitamin B12 supplement.
Okay. Yeah. Because
That's important. And then I take a vitamin D and a vegan algae, which was kind of like a fish oil.
And the
Fish oil,
vegan,
okay.
I'm curious about that because I personally couldn't be a vegan just because I grew up on a farm and I just would, but to each their own. Like if you want to be a vegan, and I was reading about that, and vitamin K, I think it's K12. It's like a newer vitamin they just discovered, and the only way you can get it through is meat and algae.
Yeah, that's why I take it.
Really?
And that's
Really?
Props to you, dude. And that's what I mean. You gotta read into being a vegan or anything because it can be harmful.
Well, it can. Like being a vegetarian, it was easy for me. I never.
It's if your lifestyle's like that already.
Yeah, I mean, I ate meat in the past. I was on the ate paleo for a long time.
Okay, really?
But I was never that big of a meat eater, so that wasn't that hard. But it's hard to be a vegan because you have to pay attention to stuff. Like you'll think, hey, there's no way this can contain animal products, and you look at the ingredients, and it does.
Yeah.
So I take those supplements to obviously help with some of the things that I'm not able to get. But you always hear this one, it's the big one, when people find out that you're vegan or vegetarian, it's like, well, where are you getting your protein from? And that's when, when you really look into it, that's all a myth. You get plenty of protein from the vegetables that you eat. And a lot of times they say the people that are saying that you need to have all this protein. Well, if you look at the studies, who's doing that study? And it's the National Dairy Association.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's special interest in them wanting you to believe that, hey, you have to consume these things.
And to me, that's why I say, like, I can't be a vegan just because I grew up mostly eating only meat. And like, if somebody was on the opposite end of the spectrum eating pretty much only vegetables, like they probably can't eat a lot of meat. Like I feel like diet's a lot more personal than people realize it is.
It is personal, but I've also seen people go like straight vegan to carnivore or something like that. So you can switch it up.
I'm not saying you could switch it up, but like, I'm not 100% believer on that you can switch it up that easily. Our bodies aren't really made. They get in a routine and they like routines.
Well, I'll tell you, like with me, because I've done both. I've eaten meat and I've eaten all the crap and stuff. When I was interested, I started slowly. Many years ago, I started slowly to, obviously it's not a secret that the more fruit and vegetables you eat, the better. So, excuse me. So I wanted to start slow, and as I was eating the fruits and vegetables and starting to give it up to meat, I was fascinated by the concept of how awesome I felt. Like I felt phenomenal. And when that happened to me, I wanted to know the science behind it. I really wanted to focus on trying to figure out why is this so different than eating meat and eating the dairy. And when you do that, when you really look into the science of it, you go down some pretty interesting rabbit holes. Okay. To what you learn about
nutrition. There's so many
nutrition and food.
Like
a fantastic book I read recently, and just gave it to a friend of mine who, actually one of my best friends. He, a big meat eater, and he's big into reader. Matter of fact, when I was in law enforcement, I give speeches. Kids call you their hero, and when the kids asked me who my hero was, and I told him that his name's Josh Van Gundy. Fantastic, best guy I've ever met in my entire life. And I said, wish I was, a lot more like him. But he's a big meat eater.
Okay.
And I gave him this book, and I knew that he would read it, and he's very direct. He tells you how he feels, and I honestly thought he was going to give me crap about it, but he read it, and he loved it. And he's trying to incorporate some of the concepts. But what the book is, it's called How Not to Die by Dr. Michael.
Okay.
Having a hard time. Granger, I think.
How Not
Greger.
to Die.
How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. And wonderful book.
Okay.
One of the best books I've ever read. But he shows you science behind the studies of what happens when you eat meat, what happens when you give up meat. And these are all non-biased studies. It's not the studies that, hey, pop's not bad for you, funded by Coca-Cola. You know what I mean? You're supposed to have, supposed to drink milk, all this milk, funded by the Dairy Association.
My biggest thing is that I think that carbs are the problem.
Yeah, I mean, because like you see on like the carnivore diet when they only eat meat, everyone's feeling fantastic.
But it's on
the same thing, vegan, they're feeling fantastic. The one thing that they all have in common is there's no carbs.
And the carbs are different too. Like obviously,
There's natural carbs in apples.
Yeah, for sure. And there's natural
which
sugars.
that's natural fructose, which I think it's the process, anything processed.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about too. Was you can say you're a vegan, and vegan can be really unhealthy. I mean, hell, you could eat Oreos and French fries every damn night if you wanted to, and call yourself a vegan.
Yeah.
And so I try to eat basically a plant-based diet 90% of the time, almost 100% of the time. Actually, I'll give them a little bit of a plug here. There's a company. My wife and I wanted to do something environmental or help with the environment and stuff. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but like Kroger, Walmart, and all those guys, if their fruit or vegetables are not perfect, they can't sell it and it gets thrown away.
That's so stupid.
Literally, small carrot has a little lump on it. They get rid of it.
Really?
So this company, they're called the Misfit Market. And we just started Misfit Market. We just started doing it this year. They buy up all that stuff that normally would go to waste, and it's all organic. They package it up and they ship it right to your door.
Oh, seriously?
Every Saturday, I get about 20 pounds worth of organic fruits and vegetables for $35 sent right to my door.
Every month?
Every week. Every
week?
Every Saturday.
Is that like, do you have to pay $35 a week to get that? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
The beauty of that is I was buying that stuff anyway at the grocery store.
It's probably cheaper to buy
I think
through
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
And you don't get to pick of what it is. So there's stuff that I'm eating. Like I'm not big on radishes. Well, they sent me a boatload of radishes. And
damn, I don't know how you eat radishes.
Well, my wife likes radishes.
Okay.
And she went to Georgia for work for a week and she didn't consume the whole bag. And my goal is, I tell you, it's not a goal. It has to be done. I will eat one box till the next.
Really?
No matter what happens, I eat the box before the next one comes. So I was standing there looking at these bag of radishes going, damn it. All right, you got to do it. So I would just stare at the wall, grab a handful, start knocking them down.
We have radishes cover crops. And I pulled a couple out of the ground before and took.
They're rough for me to eat. So I chewed them up and I'm like.
Do you put anything seasoning on them? Do you put anything on them to do that?
I keep my eating so simple. I generally eat it raw.
Okay.
And I'll even blend stuff together that shouldn't be blended together. I had a banana raw green bean smoothie last week.
Oh, boy.
Because that was what I had left up until the next box came. So I put a banana and I threw those damn green beans in there and I drink it.
I mean, it all goes out the same way.
It does, yeah.
But see, I can handle that stuff. Like a lot of that stuff, if I don't even like it, like I'll be drinking and my wife's like, how is that? It's horrible. Absolutely atrocious. But for the most part, everything there I like.
Okay.
And it forces you to eat the vegetables and fruit, which is great. And it also gives you the opportunity to try stuff you never even had. A lot of stuff, there's stuff in there, I don't even know what the hell this stuff is. Like, we have to look it up and like, what's going on here? What can we do with it? And then you find out what you can do with it. And
okay.
So I eat real simple. I eat the fruits and vegetables, a lot of plain rice, plain beans. I don't get too crazy. I eat it basically just to survive. And I eat that for long stretches of time.
Okay.
And then, like I said, down the road, if I want to have a pizza or
to enjoy your life, just enjoy your life every once in a while.
But it's got to the point now where I don't mind eating that way because I feel fantastic. I'm like kicking doors open. I mean, I love it. And I wouldn't have any other way because I've eaten the previous style.
Yeah.
And with that box, that's really helped us out because you don't have to worry about getting it. They send it to you, and I've gotten several people that have ordered it now because it's so convenient and it prevents the waste, which is important. So,
well, it's crazy to me because like we grow a pretty decent garden. It's probably like a few acres, and we'll grow tomatoes and watermelons, whatever. And it amazes me how the tomatoes you get in a store are like they're dyed and everything. They're bright red, and compared to like a normal tomato you grow out in a yard or something.
What? If you've had an organic tomato, eating these ones like that are not organic or the ones that you're talking about, I mean, it's rough.
Oh,
There's no flavor.
Yeah. I just don't eat too many tomatoes. That's about the only times I eat a lot of vegetables are when we grow them, like peppers and everything.
Well,
like
there's a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Josh, who I was talking about, he has a garden that they give us produce and they got berries and stuff. But that's basically all I live off of is that pretty much that box. And I'd be lying if I said I haven't had several of those Impossible Whoppers from Burger King. Big fan of those, actually. So I venture off in that stuff once in a while. But
so you're like, because a lot of people have the conception of like vegans are like they're completely against meat. Like they're completely against people eating meat.
Well, that's
and
just
stuff like
because
that.
the media, most of the vegans you see in the media are like the crazy.
I just want to say like
the people who flip a switch when
they
they come in contact with anything like that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, the way I looked at this. Like when I first got into this, I've always been a big animal lover. I got 2 dogs that are literally my babies. You know, I don't have kids, and a lot of people, you know, talk about animals and stuff. You know, they think you're crazy because you have that much a connection. But you know, my wife and her family, they love our dogs literally like they're our children, and I don't look at them any different way. But I've always loved animals. So, but when I first got into this lifestyle, it necessarily wasn't for the animals. I did it for the health benefits.
Okay.
I got a really good friend of mine who has been a vegan/vegetarian for 20 years now. He did it the opposite way. He got involved because of the animals, then for the health benefits. So after I got involved for the health benefits, I start looking into the animals and what happens to the animals. And that has changed me, to be honest with you, the way I view things. I read a book somewhere, I can't remember who wrote it, but they had a comment on there that they said, this is a hypothetical question, but let's say that meat was outlawed, that you can no longer eat meat. But there was one exception. And the exception was that you had to be the executioner. So if you wanted a cow to eat a hamburger, you had to literally go up and slit the cow's throat in order for you to eat that cow.
I've had to do that.
Well, and they said, what would be the percentage of people that would actually be able to do that?
Yeah,
and it would be slim.
Very slim.
Oh, yeah.
But yet they justify it by saying, okay, it's not okay for me to do it, but it's okay for you to do it as long as I don't have to know about it. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't have any issues. Like I told you, I'm a firm believer is that you live the way you want to live. If it makes you happy, it makes you happy. I don't have, you know, my wife will eat meat from time to time. It doesn't bother me. That's her thing. That's, you know, you eat meat, you know, it's what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you like read books like this, and you know, like I said, you go down these rabbit holes of just knowledge, and a lot of people don't have the knowledge of what what it takes to raise the farm animals.
That,
like, you know,
the whole farm, like I'm all for animal rights and everything.
Oh, dude,
the big
like
thing to me is the factory farm. That's all.
Yeah.
It's.
Well,
Like I grew up around. We've always had free range chickens. We would always pasture raise most of our goats and whatever. And that was because I would feel bad just killing an animal in their whole life they've just known nothing except a box or something.
Well,
if they enjoy life, I'm not going to be. Then I would feel better about doing it than I have. I mean,
well, a lot of these people, you know, like I said, these animals were raising them just to kill them.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember reading somewhere where we kill millions of animals a year just to protect like the predatory animals. We kill millions of those animals a year just to protect the animals that we're going to kill eventually anyway. You know what I mean? Like we slaughter, you know, the predatory animals to protect the stuff, but we're going to kill those animals anyway. If you see like what happens when you take like a cow or a pig and you put them in a sanctuary, they start acting like dogs. You know what I mean? They're not as dumb as what
I know.
they're perceived to be.
Yeah.
I was friends with some of the steers we raised. Like they were exactly like a dog to me, and like it sucks, but it's just like that was reality. It's like you gotta, if you want to have some food, you gotta raise it and eat it. Mm-hmm. But that's just different. That's like not many people grow up on farms anymore.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, you know, like I was saying, that my mind has changed a lot towards like I've been a lot more sympathetic of the animals and, you know, what happens to them. And like I said, they're treated like machines.
Yeah.
That's the thing I hate too. And I'm on the opposite end of the diet spectrum.
Now, that magic pill that Coach Bacher, we had him on last time. He told us to watch that. I watched that.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's a pretty good. It's about the keto diet. It's not really about the keto diet, but it is sort of about the keto diet. But it basically just says like go as natural as possible, and like what farms should be doing is just letting nature do its job.
Oh yeah,
have cattle out in a big old field, let them graze. If they die, let them. I mean, because the plants eat the basically nutrients that comes from the cows and everything like that. And it was a really good. It's like
there's a whole ecosystem to it too, because like the cows go and graze, and they'll root a lot of the grass up, and then new grass and weeds will grow. They'll graze again, and the more fertilizer, the more rich the soil will get. And there's just that whole thing. It's just it's all centralizing all of the farming and stuff that
Yeah.
I have the biggest problem. Because it's probably one of the coolest things ever is letting some cattle out in the spring. They've been inside in the winter this whole time, and they're like dogs. They wagging their whole body. Like they'll go and jump around and roll on the ground and everything.
And when you read this book, and I know there's documentaries about it, when you read this book, that they show you and they tell you that there's huge demographics across the world, huge ones that don't have our diseases of the West.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's the Scottish people we saw the video of. They're ripped and they probably don't eat anywhere close to our diet.
Well, they showed it, and they showed what's the issue here? What are they not having that we're having? And they look into it, and basically they're not eating animal products. They're not eating meat. They're not consuming very little dairy, and they've known for a long, long time. Like our number one killer is heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not even a question. Our number one killer, and they've known for a long, long time what causes heart disease.
Well, they know it's saturated fats, but they don't necessarily think it's not. Saturated fats don't have to necessarily come from animal products.
No, and that's true. You could have the process, but they know that a lot of it is the meat intake of people, and they have printed it in books before. But like I said, when it comes to special interest, there's billions of dollars when it comes to the meat and cattle industry, and whenever they try to get it out there to people who should be known about it, it gets shut down because the people it all revolves around money,
right?
Basically, you know what I mean?
Right.
So. Yeah, mine started off in one way, and it kind of led to another.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't have any issues with people that eat meat. It's just I've done them both, and there's no way I could go back to.
I think a big problem nowadays is people just eat too much. I think that's also a big
that's
thing
an issue.
too.
Do you do sort of like a fasting thing, or do you just eat?
I generally just I consume that box. I eat when I'm hungry. I'll go long times without eating. Well, like today I didn't eat anything from the moment I woke up until about 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Which that's that's natural to me because most of our evolution we were hunters and gatherers, so we were going pretty long times without food.
There's a book called The Warrior Diet. I don't know if you ever read that.
Yeah. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
I haven't read the book.
That was a fascinating book. The way his mind thought, I thought that was pretty neat. But I got a good meat eating story for you if you want to hear it.
Absolutely.
It's no secret that I'm a big fan of the Knapp's cheese pizzas in Coldwater.
Oh yeah, naps
I love those
good.
damn things. Okay, they know me. I would call
since I've naps.
but right when I open my mouth, they're like, "Plain cheese pizza, you got it." Okay. So one day I order one of those pizzas, and we don't have cable. We don't even have the internet. But during Chicago Bears season, I'm a big Bears fan. We would set it up to where I was able to watch my Bears game because I can't miss a game, and I get real deep involved as I'm watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who knows me will tell you that. So I ordered my typical cheese pizza from Knapp's. Went through it, picked it up, went home, got my game on, and I'm watching it and getting angry because it was a rough year. So I start eating this pizza, watching the game. It's like, man, that's the best damn pizza I think I've ever had. Knocking it down. Get about halfway done, and all of a sudden I'm like, this is awesome. And I look down, it had pepperoni on it. Okay. So I quit eating it. Okay. As I said, I know that has pepperoni. Now I'm not going to eat. It's about halfway done. And I called him up and I said, listen, I'm not calling to complain. I said, you guys are fantastic. And I know that you didn't do it on purpose. But generally, when someone's ordering a cheese pizza, they're doing it for a reason. Okay. And he goes, you guys had pepperoni on that damn thing. I said, however, it was wonderful. Possibly the best pizza I've ever eaten. Because I went so long without having meat.
Yeah.
And I told him that. And they were real apologetic and they were upset. And I said, listen, I don't want anything for free. I just want to tell you, it makes for a good story. You know what I mean?
So, that isn't great.
Yeah. So it'd be different if I hated it. But no, I said probably the best pizza I've ever consumed in my entire life. And it had pepperoni on it. But no, when it comes to that, I try to do the best I can. And I feel like I'm doing better. But when you get involved in like minimalism and veganism and all that, it kind of, like I keep talking about the rabbit hole. When you read all this stuff, it makes you want to do things better for the environment. And you after reading that book and watching several documentaries, I can't unread it or unsee it. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know the knowledge of what it takes to raise animals and
absolutely,
what happens, to our planet, with doing those. But like I said, the way I view things and the way I look at things is completely different than what other people. And I truly respect other people's opinions. I really do.
Which everyone should. I mean,
Oh yeah, you definitely should.
not a good place if people don't. Everyone's just going to be pissed at each other.
Yeah, that's true. But I never, people, make fun of me a lot for being a vegan or vegetarian. They throw meat in my face, and I laugh because
You probably have experienced that quite a bit.
all the time.
Especially around here.
Yeah, I get I looked upon as like I said being crazy. Because
Well, and that's just half of this. It's like a stigma because all you see is the media portrays like the crazy, the people that are like boycotting a butcher shop or something like that.
and that never made sense to me
Yeah.
because you're trying to push your agenda on someone else.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
it's
I agree with
basically
that,
it's your way of thinking is not the only way of thinking. You know what I mean? Like I remember.
And that's why America was founded, was because everyone's got their own ideas. Like,
Well, just because I believe a certain way
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you have to.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that's what gives you free thinking.
exactly.
And you got people.
Well, that's how the world grows too. It's like you got to have someone to go against the status quo sometime or another.
Yeah.
Well, and you got people like they're protesting a certain thing, but what it is because it's didn't go your way.
Yeah,
people are
exactly.
allowed to like something that
Yeah.
you don't. So I never understood all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I never ever push my agenda or my people ask me, I tell them, but I'm not going around saying, hey, you shouldn't be eating that or smacking
yeah.
chicken nuggets out of people's hands. I mean, that's not my style. I don't.
I hope
And there's people that do that.
That's
Oh, yeah.
crazy to me. And that's
Yeah.
just like it's not a diet at that point. It's almost like a religion. Like where it's like
A
this is how you should
necessity,
this is how
Yeah,
you should feel
I
about it.
never got that way of taking it to that level. And I said, or like if I go somewhere and like I told you, I'm almost 100% certain that damn veggie burger was a real hamburger.
Yeah.
Okay, I kept buying it like it's too good. There's something going on here. It's like heaven. I mean, but yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
Not me.
there's
Not me to get too worked up.
Yeah, I'm just because I want to learn so much because I always do. I love researching like health and like food diets and because there's so much and so different. Like I'm just like what are some things of like it says that are kind of bad about meat because I've done a lot of research on both on vegans and vegetarian and also the carnivore diet where they only eat meat and that's it. And I mean they both have their studies, they both have their reasons and whys and stuff. And what is it sort of in this kind of book or things that you have seen that are bad about meat? Like I just want to know. Like I want to.
Well, a lot of what that book is he shows you studies that are not special interest studies.
Okay.
A lot of these studies where you're hearing coming out that you need to have milk, you need to meat is good for you and all that
Right.
stuff. If you really dig deep and look at who's funding these studies, it's people with special interests. So they're not going to come out and say, hey, this is bad for you when they have money involved that they need for it to come out as being good.
Right.
But what I was talking about, they have huge demographics of people that are not getting our disease. Heart disease is almost non-existent. There was a study, I can't remember, it was a book I read, to where they showed America and they showed like cancer and heart disease. And it was from like 1890 to like 1920. It didn't exist. There was hardly any cases of it. However, the people that were getting it were the wealthy. So from 1920, all of a sudden, and I might be a little off on the years, but 1920, around that range, meat became readily available. And all of a sudden, all those diseases were rampant. But from 1890 to 1920, whatever like I said, I'm not 100% sure those are the exact years, but the wealthy people were getting it. Well, what was the wealthy buying that no one else could afford? It was meat.
Interesting.
And that book does a better job than what I can 100% recollect of the exact details. But basically, that's what's causing a lot of our issues with heart disease, and it's just not good for you. And these are done by double-blind, triple-blind studies to where they actually do tests on people. That's why I said that book was fantastic. And at the very end, just so you know that he's just not making it up, he shows you the exact source of where the study came from. Every single thing he talked about at the very end of the book, he showed it to you. He said, hey, you can look this up in the English or the New England Medical Journal, whatever. I'm not sure the exact names of that, but shows you the studies that were done. There was one of my favorite studies that they did was they had people that ate, and it's not just meat, it's the processed garbage too. But they would do a study to where they would have people that had horrible diets. And they brought them into a home so they can control it, and they made their meals, and it was a strictly vegetarian, vegan diet, I believe, and they had to do it for 30 days.
Okay.
So they measured them before, then they went 30 days of these people eating this particular style. They measured it then, but that wasn't the end of the study. Then the study was they had to go back for 30 more days and eat their normal lifestyle, then come back to see if it went back up. Well, they had trouble with the study because after people ate healthy and vegan and vegetarian for 30 days, they refused to go back to their old lifestyle.
Wow.
So
that to
Really?
me just kind of seems like they just ate shitty beforehand.
Well, that was,
Yeah.
but I mean, they were so happy with how they felt that they didn't want to go back to, eating, the garbage but I think a lot of it goes to, you're right, when, like I said, you feel good by eating generally healthy meats, or it's deemed healthy, and you feel healthy, but you're also not eating a bunch of the crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're not
yeah.
eating the processed
That's what I'm
stuff.
saying.
Yeah, that's
So-
sort of what I'm sorry to interrupt you. That's sort of what I saw off of like the carnivore diet was they're just not eating all that junk, and that's what's causing all of those the heart problems and stuff like that. Not the carnivore diet, because I'm not saying this is like the right way to go, but they were saying that it was that there have been people on their carnivore diet for like 20 years, and it's like cured, like not cured, but like helped out like a bunch of their diseases and stuff like that. But I mean, I think it's just the all that crap. That if you follow a strict diet of just this stuff, that you don't eat all that crap, that's when it starts to get better.
Well, it can, for instance, too, and like they're talking about like how, like eating healthy, a lot of fruits and vegetables can cure a lot of diseases. And I can't remember what study, what the exact study, what they did, but it came to find out that they knew that this was going to cure all sorts of stuff, like diabetes and all that. And they wanted to print it in these books, but the doctors said, and the doctors know, well, if you print that in that book, people are not going to have to buy the pharmaceuticals. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of it goes back into the knowledge that we know of is all generated when it comes to money. It's all funded by the money.
Oh, yeah. Money turns the world around.
Oh, like I said, and a lot of people too, like you could look someone in the face and say, hey, you're basically dying. You can either change your diet around and quit eating the crap, or we can give you a pill. A lot of people are going to be like, you mean I can't eat all the junk I want to eat and it's easier to take a pill and have the side effects? A lot of people choose to take that pill.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they'll deal with those side effects, and they'll still deal with being unhealthy because they make a pill that you're able to go around and you can live with it. You might not be living well, but you can live with it because people don't want to change. And here's another thing to think about too when it comes to like the processed stuff. A lot of that stuff that people eat, and hell, I'm guilty of eating that stuff too. It's not even real.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
you might as well chew on this glass. I mean, it's made up, not real stuff that you're ingesting in your body. Obviously, it's not going to be good for you.
Right.
Well, even a lot of the meat, the processed meat, is pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, because
Like, because
They put
there's
a
a
bunch of
big
additives in
difference
it.
between eating like a steer I raised versus a steer I got from hamburger I got from Walmart.
my dad. Oh, which I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy a quarter of a cow, but my dad buys a cow that's grass fed. They raise it right and they do everything right. And whenever I get his meat and I buy meat from a store, you can definitely tell the difference. Like,
Oh,
there's a
100%.
huge difference.
There's a
just
difference
in-
between everything. So, like vegetables taste better when they're grown naturally.
And a lot of the meat that like is like really commercial, that book talks about. There's a lot of feces
Oh,
that,
like
that in
rats.
that meat.
Really?
Yeah, that,
Really?
that,
I think,
that-
like,
that's consumed. I mean, and
Well, it's like candy, like Hershey bars. They can't have like more than 5% rat in them or something like that.
I don't know if that's true.
Dude,
There's
there's a standard where they can only have so much like rat or something in them.
but no, like I said, you're right. I think it all goes into perspective
Yeah.
on what works for you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
What you deem. They were talking about a study which I thought was pretty interesting, to how they had people that, what do you think would be better for you, to eat junk but exercise, or to sit on the couch but eat nothing but healthy stuff? What do you think would be better for you?
I honestly that sitting on the couch and eating healthy.
Yeah, they did the studies on what your like measurements and everything, and how your heart and all that function. It was healthier to you to eat healthy and not do anything
Yeah.
than when it comes to putting garbage down your throat.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because it is like like we've discussed, it's like 80% food that you eat and 20% working out.
Dude, they allow 11 rodent hairs per 25 grams of paprika and cinnamon.
No way. What the?
Yeah, dude, it's just you have to produce them at such a massive scale just to keep up with demand.
Yeah, and our laws are really relaxed. Like we have stuff that other countries flat out say that's not happening, especially like food dyes and stuff like that. Like other countries don't allow a lot of stuff that we push through the system.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you look at it, I mean, this is no secret. I mean, this is, flat out. I mean, you can look it up. Is that once we hit the industrial age, and we were mass producing food, and people weren't making food at home anymore, our disease level went through the roof.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, not even that. Once it got past the small business level, it got to giant corporations. You can't. There's no one to hold accountable at that point. If your butcher is selling like spoiled meat, everyone's going to get pissed at the local butcher. But if Tyson is selling spoiled chicken, what are you going to do? Like, you can't do much. You can go and try to bitch at, but Tyson's got so much money, they could just throw all 100 lawyers at you, and you'll never win.
It's a true story.
And then that causes just more regulation. Then you have pushing the smaller people out more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like our obesity rate.
Obesity is an
insane.
epidemic.
Compared to the rest of the world, we are.
It's like 77% of kids are obese or something.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
it's really
it's really bad.
that is bad.
And when I was younger, and per grade there was maybe one heavyset kid, maybe two. I mean, and now it's like the normal.
I honestly think obesity is like a national.
Oh, it is.
Risk.
It is.
Like
it's
it is.
bad.
Like with healthy and living, but also just like from like foreign. Like if people like try to like attack us or invade us or something, like they're not capable of defending themselves. Like doing physical activities that demands them of surviving. That if something happens like that, they wouldn't survive.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where it's sad. I mean, and
40% of adults are obese. Wow.
And try to think about that once. I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. But like I said, it goes down to two things, which we talked about earlier in another topic. A lot of people that have kids that are, they either don't care or they know it's a problem, but they're not willing to do anything about it because it's an inconvenience.
Yep.
So
it's a lot easier to go to McDonald's and pick up a Big Mac versus cook something.
Yeah, and with this world going so fast all the time, it's hard to.
Times are not simple anymore.
I'll tell you a thing that was the most fascinating thing about eating healthy to me was, and I didn't even think about this ahead of time because you're so used to it. But when I was eating, the processed stuff and having more meat, when I switched it over to being vegetarian, mostly vegan, there's a fog that's in your head that you don't even know about. And all of a sudden, eating this way lifts that fog out of your brain.
Really?
That's how I felt full carnivore. Right.
You don't know, and you don't see it when you give up the processed stuff. Like you think that that's just normal, and all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm thinking so clear, and it's because that crap is not coursing through your veins all the time. I mean, it's you can't explain that to somebody who's never experienced it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't say, well, hey, my mind clarity is just through the roof because
I can remember things easier.
It's like crisp. It's it's almost like being on a mountain type of thing to where your mind is just so focused and clear, and it's because you're getting that garbage out of your system.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
I used to
awesome.
I used to be addicted to candy. Like never had a big issues when I was younger with drinking and stuff like that, but candy has always been my issue. And I would go to bed at nighttime, even as an adult. I mean, hell, that might have taken place 6 months ago, but. As my hand's shaking as I'm shoving down gummy bears, trying to consume as much as possible. But, when you give up that stuff and you don't eat as much, it's definitely, it makes a huge difference. Huge difference. So
life's better.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself. That's it. Just take care of yourself.
Doesn't matter what you want to try. You can just, as long as you take care of yourself.
Just take care of yourself.
Life is a lot better.
Yeah. So you were saying, well, I think we were talking about it. You used to do CrossFit.
Yeah.
Do you still do CrossFit? Or do you what kind of workout, what kind of stuff you do?
No, and actually I'm probably going to upset some people on this level, but no, I'm actually, and like keep reinstating that, you do what you want to do, and I'm okay with that. But I'm actually kind of anti-CrossFit.
Okay.
I was I was the first member at our local gym, and I did it for many years. And the physical toll it took on my body, I regret it.
Oh yeah.
Too much on your joints, I think.
It beat me up
so?
really bad, and I still haven't recovered from things that I did to my body back then. And you'll have people that will have arguments to where, injuries can happen anywhere, and that's very true.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee you could go through every gym in this area and accumulate all their torn ligaments and shoulder surgeries and add them all up, and it would not even remotely compare to all those injuries at that gym. And
I bet you're right.
I would,
unfortunately,
I would
feel like
100%.
you're-
I don't like to guarantee anything, but I could guarantee that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's unfortunate too.
And-
It's a great thing to do.
I love the workout. You know what I mean? I love the people there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's taxing. And, I'm approaching 40 here in November. And now, I'm not trying to win any contest at my age. Like I said, I just do a basic maintain thing. And I work out every day. It's a real simple, real relaxed and light. And I feel better now than I ever did back then. And even back then, I was in much better shape physically. Like my muscle mass was bigger. I was stronger, but yet my body felt like crap. I mean, because I was just beating the hell out of myself, doing stuff that I knew that I shouldn't be doing, but I did it because it was what was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum now.
Okay.
And if anyone asks me about it, I, say you're able to do whatever you want to do. But I said, in my opinion, it's just too much. But like I said, you're able to whatever you think, whatever you believe,
and some people can do it without having any injuries or whatever. And those people are their own breed. That
well, and I got caught up in it, like just like anyone else. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And I was just ignoring stuff. Like I said, why does my arm feel like this? Why am I having trouble getting out of bed in the morning? And then you just look at the amount of, hell, I was there 4 years maybe. I think 3 or 4 years. And at that point, I think at our gym there was like 15 or 16 shoulder tears or.
I'm sorry about this.
Hey, it happens.
What in the world? No, I'm just going to flip phone. Going to flip phone. Not even doing it. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're okay. But no, yeah, there's 15 or 16 around that range. People that had torn this and torn that and had to have all these surgeries, and that's astronomical for a small gym. I mean, and it's since then I know they've had several more knees blowing out and all that stuff. And like I said, anything can happen at any given time, which is a very true statement.
Yeah.
But when you're asked to do, I remember I went to a tournament once, and I was always, I would say, put myself at a below average range. I mean, I did my best. I beat a lot of people, but a lot of people beat me. And, especially it was hard for me to keep up with the young guys coming in. I was in my mid-30s when I was doing it. But I was at a tournament once, and one of the exercises to move into the next phase, or one of the times thing was, we had to do a squat with weights on our back. And it was pretty heavy weight. So you got the weights on your back, and you had to bend down, and they wanted you to jump up and leave the ground.
Yeah, that's not good.
Wow.
And I was questioning. I always question the crazy stuff.
You should never leave the ground with weight.
This is insane. I mean, it really was. And I did it anyway, like an idiot.
Yeah.
Like I said, I did it anyway.
You get caught up in it.
Because that's what I was supposed to do. And looking back on it, like I said, I still have things, part of my body that I didn't have before, and I haven't been able to shake since. But like I said, I do my own thing. I'm just doing a maintaining thing,
and it's a learning experience too. Like you can't go back on it now. It's like now you got to figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, I get a lot of times where people think I'm younger than what I am, which I'm happy with. So I'm doing something right, I think. So,
absolutely.
That was an interesting time.
Yeah, I think CrossFit, if they make it like not necessarily as a workout, they should make it almost as a sport. So like, if people want to train to be a CrossFit, it should be a sport, not really necessarily be like a workout just to get like in shape and to get stronger. That's why I sort of think about what CrossFit should be. Like I agree with you. Like they do some stuff that should not be doing.
The thing is with that, like I knew while I'm doing it that I shouldn't be doing it, and I did it anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's my fault. And like I said, I love the people there. It's one of the hardest things for me to leave.
They were
love them,
awesome people,
fantastic
there.
people, and I don't have any thoughts or ill feelings towards anyone who does the CrossFit. Like I said, I loved it. It just I'm looking back on it, and I said when you do add stuff up, and it just, in my opinion, it's just not worth what can happen to you.
The injuries,
And like I said, the argument would come up all the time. They would say, well, you can get injured at any gym, which is, like I said, very true.
That's just a terrible argument, though. It's
But
like
they say that.
Yeah,
they say that.
It's just like you could say that about, you could walk outside and die. I mean, we could die right now.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
That's the thing. Anything could, I just find that's just a throwaway.
They really will.
Yeah.
They'll use that argument. Well, you can injure yourself in any gym, and that's very true. But I'm not kidding you. I guarantee you, if I went over to Energy and asked the owner, I know her, asked her, or how many shoulder tears or blown knees and all that have you had in this gym, it wouldn't even come close to that.
Oh,
So
the biggest thing, there's a big jump though, like because CrossFit is its own. It's so much different too than regular gyms.
Yeah, and that's
the other thing.
That's another thing that they can say, and that's true. And there's no one would debate that. Obviously taking it to that level. I'm just saying, is it worth it?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have to ultimately look at yourself at the end of the day? Was it worth it? And I said I was the first member there, loved being there, but it got to the point to where I'm looking at myself in the mirror, going, I can't do this anymore. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like I feel like I'm 75 years old, and I would fight through the pain, and I would, tell myself that, hey, no, this is just how it is. No pain, no gain type of deal, and it just.
I think a lot of the CrossFit deal was just that, like early on, they weren't really planning it out as well. Like they were doing the same exercises multiple days in a row, which is you're never really supposed to do that. Like you're not going to do
they were doing
chest, you're not gonna bench press every day.
They were doing Olympic style like heavyweight,
which is
like
they're
multiple
Olympic style
times
for a reason.
as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Like
and
that'll.
The thing there too is like I know both owners of that gym, and they were both
great people,
wonderful people,
great people. Yeah.
I mean, I've had disagreements with them, but I like them. And let's say that even if I did disagree with them, or I'm not friends with them like I used to be, I still respected them for the fact is that both of them never wanted anything bad to happen to you. It wasn't like they were trying to put you in a bad situation. It was just. Another good friend of mine, me and him would work out there, and he was conscious too. But when tournament time would come up, or we're trying to, you're trying to compete, you do things that you're not supposed to do, but you do it anyway for speed.
100%.
And that's what was happening. I said, neither of them would want anything bad to ever have. They were very loving people, fantastic.
Very. Yep.
But it said, and I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying it was just the concept of the way it was designed and the way it is designed is that. And everyone that would get hurt there, they would say that it's not the gym. It's not the gym.
Which is, you can't really, it's hard to defend.
I disagree with that, but like I said, that's my opinion.
So like what you said, you just kind of like work out just a little bit.
You ride your bike a lot.
I ride my bike a lot. I bought this exercise machine called the Rack.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of it or not? It's discontinued. They don't make it anymore, but it's just a small, it looks like an old person's walker.
Okay.
But you can do everything on it. You can do push-ups, squats, overhead thrust, arm curls. And I just do a simple workout. I do that for like 20 minutes a day. I ride my bike. Like I said, I'm not trying to win. A good friend of mine once said, he was in his 40s, like, man, he's in really good shape. He's like, man, I'm not trying to win any more contests. Just maintain it from here on out. And I'm happy with that. Like I said, am I as strong as I used to be at CrossFit? Absolutely not. Do I look as good? Hell no. Okay. I mean, that gym does things to you that.
Well, yeah, because it's like a warrior kind of exercise routine where you're just pushing yourself in strength and endurance.
Well, no one can deny the results.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Of that. And like I said, I'm not even remotely on that plane field. Matter of fact, if you took a photo of me now without my shirt on, without one, you'd be like, "Who the hell is this guy?" I mean, I'm probably half that size, but I feel great about it mentally and physically. I feel great for what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. So
nice, very nice, very nice. So you're. I brought this up. I wanted to see your tattoos and stuff. Tell us, like, well, what do you have on you, man?
Like tattoo wise?
Yeah. I like to bring up tattoos. I like tattoos. I think they're very fascinating.
Well, like I told you, you're better off getting tattoos when you can afford them.
Okay.
You can, and I like my tattoos, but some of mine I got when I was, younger and, scrounging up money that's between the cushions to go get yourself a tattoo. But, like I said, I'm a big Bears fan. Been one my whole life, and I got one of my arms is nothing but Chicago Bears stuff.
Sweet.
And my other arm, a tattoo artist, was a friend of mine, and he just had random pictures of art that I really liked, and I really liked him, and I just picked stuff that spoke to me. And
hell yeah,
nice.
I got
nice.
My dad's been gone for 13 years. Let's see here, we're going 14 years here this July, and my dad was everything to me. So I got like a memorial for him on my chest. And I got my favorite saying of all time down my side.
Okay.
So yeah, just stuff like that. I got some
meaningful.
Very meaningful. Yeah.
A lot of mine are meaningful. I have some that aren't, but yeah. And to be 100% honest, I think maybe if I could go back, I probably wouldn't have gotten them. But I've gotten they really helped me in my law enforcement career. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
That was I said when I'd be in uniform, I'd have people come up and talk to me that wouldn't talk to other deputies or officers because they looked, I was more on their level, I guess you could say that, and I felt like they understood me more, or I understood them more. That's what I meant. But yeah, looking back on it, I'm not sure if I would have gotten them or not, but say you live and learn, I guess. So.
Oh yeah. You didn't get any face ones though.
No, I didn't want to go down that road.
I feel like that's a tough road.
That is a tough road.
My dad was covered. Like I said, my dad took us to school on the back of a Harley when we were kids. I mean, he had tattoos all over him, and even though he was gone, I knew that he wouldn't have been a happy man if I got myself a face tattoo.
I don't think anybody's father would.
That never really interested me. Plus, if I wanted to hide them, like if I be in a suit, you would never know that I had them.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to keep it to that level. So.
Yeah, because I got one on right here, like almost like a half sleeve, but I want to go down to a sleeve.
As long as you can cover them.
Yeah. I'll definitely be able to have to cover them.
There was a. When I was, after I graduated from the academy, I was applying for different jobs around, and Ada was looking for a police officer job. And they had all these applicants. So I went through that whole process, and they did all the interviews and stuff. And, you're fighting, you know how it is. You fight your way through a system. It's not easy. It's not like, a lot of people, I think in my class, out of the 26 that started, I think only 12 of us made it through.
Oh, really?
And out of the 12 that made it, only 6 of us got full-time jobs. So you know how it is. It's
when I went through, I actually rode with Salina Police Department for 2 years, and I got to know the guys. It was super fun. I was a great time, but I got to know them all. Got to know the guys. Got to know the chief, and I took the test, the civil service test, and took it. So, but now all of the people who went through the academy all have full-time jobs now because they are hurting bad.
Yeah, they are
officers. And you can go anywhere.
But back when I was there, it was hard. It was cutthroat. I mean, you really you were fighting with all sorts of people. So I believe it was Ada, and make it way all through the process, and then you got your interviews and all that stuff. So I make it through all the interviews. I'm going against a couple of guys. I'm wearing a suit. Okay, so I'm looking pretty nice in that suit. I liked it. So I was sitting there talking to the chief there, and he offers me the job. So he says, this is what's going on, and talking about all this stuff, asked me what my goals and ambitions were with it. And so we get through to the very end, and I looked at him, and wonderful guy. And I said, hey, I want to let you know, I said, I got full sleeve tattoos. I said, I will gladly wear long sleeves, even in the summer, if this upsets you. I'll cover them up all year round, no problem. He threw me out right there on the spot. Basically said, hey, here's the door. So wow. I got eliminated from that after making it all the way through.
Damn.
So
just because of arm sleeves.
Yeah.
See that to me is they saw you and I'm guessing they liked you to hire you, and all of a sudden just because you have some stuff on your arms that nope, you can't do it.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Here's another good one. You'll like this when it comes to the interview process and stuff. I can't remember where it was, but I was invited to take a test for some town in Maryland. I can't remember what town it was, but it's for a police officer job. It was one of those real high-paying ones, so I was interested in it. So the deal was I had to go to Maryland. I had to pay for it. And another friend of mine who was in the academy, his name was George, fantastic guy, a lot of energy. He's a guy that you would send in a building when you had no idea what's going on. You kick him in there, George. Whatever's in there, you go take care of it. He'd do it. So George was invited down with me. So we go down to Maryland, and we had to do like this big physical test. And they had people from all around. New York, Maryland, Michigan, all these different towns were there. And they ranked you on like a scale.
Okay. Yep.
So before that, I told him I had tattoos and all that. And he had to fill out this big questionnaire and told him everything I basically done. They wanted to do a background check before you even got there. Sent all that in. Invited us down. So go through the process, and they had running and push-ups and all that stuff, which CrossFit really helped me when it came to that. So not bragging, but I finished first overall out of all these people.
Nice.
And George finished second.
Wow.
So we were happy, like two Ohio boys come down to Maryland and we show them how things are done. So I can't remember how long the drive was, 10 or 11 hours. We had to drive down, pay for a hotel, had to drive back. We're on our way back after we just finished number 1 and number 2. On the way back, and I had a smartphone back then, and all of a sudden my phone goes off, and it's an email. So I'm looking at it, I'm reading it, and I get done reading it, and I go, oh, that's kind of unique. George goes, what happened? I go, I was just eliminated. And he goes, what? I said, yeah, I was just eliminated. And he goes, well, why were you eliminated? And I said, well, because I smoked marijuana when I was younger.
No way.
But here's the key to that. I told those guys before I even went down there that I did that. They knew about it.
What? That's shitty.
That is shitty.
They discontinued me because I smoked marijuana.
That is nuts.
They bring you down there too. That's the worst thing about it.
And George got eliminated too because of something he did in his past that he wrote down as well. So we think there was a hidden agenda to that, but we drove all the way down there, all excited on the way back, like, hey, we dominated that thing.
To be honest about it too, and to get eliminated, being honed.
Yeah, so
that's
I said,
that is.
There's definitely some, when it comes to the interview process.
They had an agenda. Yeah, where'd you go to the academy at?
The Grand Lake one.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I went to Rhodes.
My
mom
just said she was a psychology professor at Rhodes.
Really?
She just retired last year at 75 years old.
I took so many psychology classes, I probably know her.
Marilyn Cipalone was her name.
I didn't catch any of my teachers' names. I didn't really care.
Yeah,
I just wanted to get through it. But man,
just retired, 75.
Wow, okay.
Loved what she did for a living.
Good.
We've been trying to talk her into hanging it up for the last 10 years, but she finally hung it up. And so, but back about when I was talking about my tattoos, when it came to, even though I regretted it, helped me in my career when I was there. And since I was there, other guys, a good friend of mine, he's been getting more sleeve tattoos. And like I said, I think we should be past that of looking, that as a negativity. Right, I mean? That's how we grew up. Like I said, my whole family had tattoos all over them. And I said, I remember being little and my dad, very, very, like I said, my dad was my entire universe. I mean, he was awesome, awesome guy. But he had them all over him. I remember being little and looking at people, looking at him differently. And I would always ask him, Dad, why do people look at you and treat you different? And he's like, man, it's
a lot of fear of unknown.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna way off the thing. I heard you do your own coffee.
I do.
Roast your own coffee.
Yeah, I've always been big into coffee. I love coffee, but I have my own little coffee business. It's kind of unique. I go to your house and I bring it from the raw form, which is green beans, and I get it from all around the world, and I roast it, I grind it, I brew it right in front of you, and then you drink it, and then I get paid on tips. But this is what I do a lot of times with that. Sometimes I forget. I leave and I forget hey, I didn't even get any money for that. Or I'll sit there and talk to these people for a few hours, and then they try to give me money, and I'm like, you know what? I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.
I said, I don't need any money for that. So it's something I do mainly for fun. I started it at one point to where my wife posted it on Facebook, and then when I was a deputy, I would get off duty and I'd come home, and it got to a point where all I was doing was, being a deputy, and then I'd come home and I'd make coffee.
Really?
And it got too big, and I make it all by hand.
Okay.
So I don't have any really machines that do it, which you can make mass amounts. I mean, I'm making small quantities, and it got to a point where I wasn't having fun. And if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So now I do it just real small, and a lot of people a coffee that most people drink is months old and stale. Once you have a cup of freshly brewed coffee, like right in front of you, from it being whole green, the whole green beans, you don't want to drink anything else.
Oh boy,
So
Definitely see that.
I want to try that.
Yeah, so we'll set something up to where
Oh yeah.
I come over and I'll just make it
Nice.
make it right there on the
Make
spot.
it right there on the
Yep.
spot. Wow.
No, I really enjoy that.
Is it like a secret recipe you got?
Not really a secret recipe, but it takes time to learn how to get it done right. Like I got to the point now to where I go by sound, I don't go by time.
Really?
And then I go by taste. Like I'll taste the beans after I'm done cooking it. And there's times where I even cook it too long. Like I try to push the envelope because I like a dark roast. And there's times where the beans will come in and they won't cook the way that I want them to.
Okay.
But I got it down to now to a pretty good system to where I'm listening to you listen to cracks and the pops. There's first crack, second crack, and then the interesting way when you make that is every second changes the coffee. Every
Really?
second that you wait changes the coffee to a certain point. So you can take it off early and it'll taste different. You can wait a second later and it's going to taste different. So I got it down to try to be consistent.
Yeah.
And I'll try different blends where I'll mix stuff together. I'll mix, there's Arabica beans, which most people consume, and then there's Robusta, which has more caffeine. Robusta doesn't taste really good by itself, so I try to combine it with other Arabica beans. And I've had a lot of success with that. But coffee's, I drink my coffee straight black. I don't.
Yeah. Yep.
And,
yeah.
a lot of times when this is the way to drink it, if you're drinking straight black coffee, I mean, it tastes like it's more rich. It's almost got.
Well, it's
Kinda
like,
like
it's like whiskey or something like
kind
that
of
too.
like a Guinness consistency in a way. Like it's thicker.
Yeah. Really.
It's
Interesting.
stronger,
Okay.
but it's not like the watered down stale stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the Folgers and the instant coffee. You ever drink instant coffee?
I have not.
It's rough.
I've seen a couple
it's not
people do
good.
it. I'm like,
It's bitter.
Just the concept of pouring it in there, mixing it up. I'm like,
It's bitter.
bad news.
I drink it if you need it. I mean, I've had my fair share of instant coffee, but I prefer to.
It's like
to avoid
it's like the powdered milk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's kind of similar to
Oh,
that.
boy.
That's a good assessment of what you're talking about.
Huh.
So we'll set something up. And I think I know your mom sure as hell wants me over there making that coffee.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
She loves her.
Yeah, your mom's
Just
You know
coffee.
what I love about your mom is that obviously she doesn't have an easy time, but she makes the best out of her time.
Oh yeah.
And that can be a lesson for anybody, to someone who, you can just see it in her face that she loves life and she gives it everything. She got it all the time. And you got so many people that complain, and we talked about this earlier, that had no reason to complain. Your mom has the right to complain.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is because I saw the process of her go downhill a little bit, and I did see a little bit of like that struggle for a little bit of like, oh man, this is it. Like I did see that like sort of like sadness, like the depression and stuff. But
Well, I think that for anyone to take that
just
on,
the beginning of it, and then all of a sudden, like she's accepted it, and she's definitely living her. She's happy now. She likes to be with the grandkids and everything. It's a good.
She's a wonderful woman, and I'll tell you what. Also, is that you can't say enough for your dad too, who works his ass off, absolutely works his ass off, and then he also it gives everything to your mom and doesn't think twice about it.
Yep. Yeah.
Like Courtney talks about, like he does everything. And there's no complaining there, and that's awesome. And
My dad amazes the shit out of me, and it's. I bet you guys have the same thing. Like your parents, like they
look up to
they
your
know
entire life.
they know everything. Like
that's-
like everything you do, like I got away with that. They don't know, and
yeah,
he knows.
Of course.
He knows. It's
Yep.
weird.
They were kids once.
Yeah,
But he just and you can just tell of how much and how much love they have for one another. And it's one of those things to where it's inspiring.
oh,
Like
yeah.
when they leave, or if I've been at Courtney's salon and they come in there and they leave, it's just one of those things to where like that's what things are supposed to be like. You obviously they're bad circumstances.
Oh yeah.
Circumstances that you couldn't foresee, but yet they make the most of it, and that's awesome. I mean, you can't say enough for that. It's one of those things to where I feel privileged just to know them, and I tell you what, they keep inviting me over to your family functions, the Christmas and the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
randomly just going to show up.
Absolutely, do
What's
it.
going to happen is you're going to have some weird guy sitting there eating nothing but the salads. And it's like, who in the hell is that goofy looking bastard sitting over there? He doesn't belong here.
Hey,
So,
now that I get to know you, like come. I don't care.
I'm
It'll be
not
awesome.
kidding. I'm
It'll
going to be there.
sweet.
It's going to be unannounced.
I thought it was funny that my mom invites people just over. Like, should we just like driving down the road and see some random person? Hey, let's come over. Come over. It's hilarious.
It's awesome.
But I just thought it was funny that she just invited you guys to come on over for the Stallion.
Hell yeah.
We're going to be
Koi
there.
and stuff. It was great, but yeah. Oh well, life goes on, and she's she's a tough woman.
Yeah, like I said,
Very
one of
tough
those to
woman.
where you can't be thankful enough, having parents like that. And like I said, it's one of those things to where it truly is. I realize I said, but it's inspiring. You seeing someone like that who truly just having a good time and jokes around and just
She lets you know where you stand with her.
she loves life, and I love that about her. So
Yeah. Well, what is that? It's been an hour. Dang.
Yeah,
It's
you wanna
not felt
call
like an
it?
hour. I mean, isn't your
Yeah.
thing pretty much done now?
Yeah.
So, well,
I'm really glad that you guys
Very
yeah,
invited me.
enjoyable.
I'm very happy that you got to come on here. I had a great time and
And
great
anytime,
to get to know you, man.
I gotta
Yeah, you
do
guys
some
too.
reading now.
Yeah, I know.
and anytime you want me back, there's a lot of topics.
Oh, I know.
I can talk
oh,
about.
I know.
There's a lot of things to
A
talk
lot of
about.
things I can talk about. So I'm
Yeah,
available. I'm available anytime.
All right, we will absolutely have you on.
Definitely. We're gonna have everyone back on.
We will.
That's
We
our
will.
end goal.
Hey,
Okay, bro.
Coach Bacher, what was his first name?
Brett.
Brett.
I graduated with Brett.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. He was saying that he's because I would explain like, so I got this guy coming on. He seems like a really sweet guy. I've heard a bunch about him. Like his name's TC Cipalone. He's like, oh no shit. Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah.
You knew exactly who it was.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
kind of
we
funny.
used to wrestle when we were younger, and like he'd be laying like on the ground or on the bed, and I'd come on the dresser, and I'd come jumping off there with the elbow, like, landing on him and stuff. So yeah.
WWE.
I've known him for a long, long time. So
Wow,
good man.
nice.
Small world.
Small, this
Well, there's
this
a
is
way-
a small world. Because I did CrossFit with you that one time. I had no idea. And it's
Graduated
weird.
with your
It's-
brother
Yeah,
and-
graduated with my brother.
Oh yeah.
And somehow you're sitting here.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Paths crossed.
That's it. TC Cipalone, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Peace.